Mayor. We're live.
It is now 7 o'clock, calling the regular meeting to order. Requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met. This meeting was advertised in the Burlington County Times on January 7, 2024. Electronic notice was given to the NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. This is National Boy Scout Day. The National Boy Scout Day is February the 8th, so we will do the pledge with the thought of the Scouts tonight with us, okay? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence. In this moment of silence, please keep in thought the three fallen soldiers in Jordan, Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, Specialist Kennedy Landon Sanders, Specialist Breonna Alexandria Moffett. Thank you. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley. Present. Committeeman Carr. Committeewoman Mungo. Present. Committeewoman Wright.
Present.
Mayor Henley.
Present.
Also present, Township Solicitor, Township Administrator, Police Chief.
We now read a proclamation for Black History Month. Whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, a Harvard scholar, established the observance of African American history to reveal the contributions, achievement, and involvement of African American people in the development of our African American democracy. And whereas the history of some of us and the history of all of us, and the history is what shapes us as a state and a nation, and whereas we must acknowledge and pay attention to the generations of individuals who struggle with adversity, risked their lives for justice, fought a fight that at times seemed impossible to win, and continue to fight for equality and the American dream. And whereas African American history also engaged throughout our society as our friends and neighbors, scholars, teachers, business people, community leaders, and contributors to our West Hampton quality of life. And whereas the month of February gives us a chance to honor the many heroes who are unknown and unnamed, who have contributed to the struggle for freedom and justice for all. And whereas Black History Month encourages all West Hampton residents to come together, reflect on our collective past, and reveal its impact on present conditions. And now, therefore, the West Hampton Township Committee does hereby proclaim the month of February to be Black History Month. Thank you. Yeah, we're clapping. Yeah, you started to clap. Approval for minutes, January 23rd, 2024, regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Berkeley move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley.
Yes.
Mungo.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
January 2023 to January 23rd, 2024, executive session minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley.
Yes.
Mungo.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
We will now open the meeting for public comment on agenda items only. Remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is for comments. Fair enough. We will now close for public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinances, second reading, public comment. An ordinance amending Chapter 250 of the Township Code of West Hampton zoning. Do we have a motion?
Berkeley move. Second.
Open for public comment. Yes.
Yeah. Gary Rivera, 138 Winstead. So, speaking in public comment on the second reading of the ordinance 1-2024, amending Chapter 250. I'm in favor of the ordinance. I urge you to vote yes in passing it, and I want to thank you for all of the hard work, Bob and Wendy. Mayor, I think you did a great job in shepherding this ordinance through. You had us keep an open mind, and you actually viewed all of the residents as real partners in this. So, well done, in my opinion. So, again, I urge you all to vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mayor, if I could just make a
Sure.
comment. I just want to thank Gary for his assistance with this, too. He provided suggestions on some of the text for it. That was very helpful.
Thank you, Gary. Roll call?
Barclay.
Yes.
Longo. Yes. Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
2-2024, an ordinance of the West Hampton Township to fix salaries, wages, and compensation of certain officials and employees of the township for the years of 2024, 2025. I would ask for a vote to amend to add positions of this as far as deputy tax collector. And to also I would ask for a motion in a second to adjourn to public hearing until February 20th as amended.
So this goes back to first reading tonight, Mayor?
Well, what we're doing is we're going to move it, so it's not going to be we're not going to vote at all on it tonight. We're going to move it to the meeting of the 20th so that we're able to amend and add the position of deputy tax collector.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I have a motion to add deputy tax collector and salary to this salary ordinance
And we're pushing it to February the 20th.
and push the second reading to February 20th.
Perfect.
A second.
Roll call?
Barclay.
Yes.
Longo.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Resolution 34-24, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through February 6, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Barclay.
Yes.
Longo. Yes. Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Consent agenda resolution. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question, Mayor.
Sure.
It seems like our public works are the people doing all the work. We switched machines with each other, but we still are doing all the work. We do the work here, and we do the work in West Hampton when we send our machine over there. I don't understand why, if we're giving a machine to East Hampton, why their public works can't do their roads, why we have to do that and use our people for it. The other thing is, we used to have a street sweeper, but it wasn't being used, and it didn't seem to be needed to be used, so Parker traded that in for a type of lawnmower that we needed. And so, do we really need a street sweeper that we're proposing?
Didn't we have a street sweeper? Now you got me. A street sweeper recently that we just used, that people just commented that it was great, no?
We're giving East Hampton, no, they're giving us the net. And what are we giving? You're
gonna mess me up again, I can't.
sorry. We're giving them the
Sweeper.
right.
Yeah.
They're giving us a lawn, something about to mow the sides of the road.
Isn't it just shared service? So we're sharing it with them, right?
No, we give them something and they give us something. But what they're giving us, we used to have it, wasn't being used, so Parker sold it for something else. But also, we're not sharing people. In both of the ordinances, we use our guys for the the lawnmower on the streets, and there we are using our guys for their street sweeper. So why can't each town use their own people?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
So for our equipment to go to East Hampton, we are in control of how that equipment is being used. Therefore, we can control the damages that might occur to the equipment. For them to give us equipment coming into our township, we're going to use our people so that we limit the liability of anyone from East Hampton getting hurt in West Hampton.
Still seems like we're getting the raw end of the deal.
What's the equipment that we're allowing East Hampton to use? The reason East Hampton? The sweeper, right?
You have the copy?
Yeah, I have the agreement right here. It's the West Hampton, I don't have my glasses though. Section 1B, it says West Hampton Township will street sweep East Hampton Township's public roads 3 times per year on a 5-day cycle. So it's the West Hampton Township employees and street sweeper will be going to East Hampton. West Hampton, Part A of that same section is West Hampton Township will utilize East Hampton Township's roadside mowing apparatus during the months of April to September for 3 days of usage per month. So we're getting the use of a roadside mower where we're sweeping their streets.
Now,
And that is what we got rid of because we didn't need a roadside mower when Parker got rid of it and used the money to buy something we needed.
I'm not familiar with that.
It was before your time.
not that Committeewoman Berkeley brought that up, but food for thought is this. When we're street sweeping, who's paying the employee that's street sweeping? We're paying them?
Yeah, it's our employees, yes.
I think this is something that we should talk about. Because inevitably, we're going to pay our guy to sweep there. I'm not saying that they should use our street sweeper because it's valuable. And again, I'm just one person and I'm just kind of thinking it through. I'm not saying that that's the issue. I'm saying that in a shared service, we do shared services and we pay those people. And we pay those townships. Like when we have a shared service with the tax collector, we pay, or our tax person, we pay each. If we're gonna send our person over there and we're gonna pay them, at the minimum, I feel like they should pay it. Especially if it's our street sweeper. And we're gonna still pay that same person to cut the grass. You see what I'm saying? Does anybody have a problem with tabling this and trying to see what we can work out? I mean, I think it deserves a second conversation.
I'd like to make a motion to table this for more discussion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Talk so long, I forgot where I'm at. Open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is for comment only.
Good evening again, Gary Barbarian, 138 Winstead. So on the agenda, we're at 12, open meeting for public comment. First, I just want to say thank you, Wendy. Good job with the Pledge of Allegiance. I know we've been sort of initializing a new custom with that, so well done on that. And also, Mayor, I do appreciate the moment of silence acknowledging our fallen soldiers, so thank you. It does help remind us about how connected we are as a fabric of society, and our democracy does need people to serve it. So thank you for doing that. I'll try to be brief. I only have a few minutes. Just 3 items real quick. The first is I thought actually kind of important, so that's why I'm bringing it up. Back in, I want to say maybe November or so, some of you may have gotten a correspondence in the township from this company called American Water Resources. It was sent, I believe, to homeowners, and it's regarding water service line insurance. Does this look familiar to anyone, this letter? Now, we're serviced where we live over by the Willingboro MUA, so maybe it was just sent to folks that have the Willingboro MUA. So if you're not familiar with this, water service line is that, if there's some damage to the sewage line that goes to your house, you're responsible for it. And so your homeowner's insurance may or may not cover that damage, and it can be quite substantial for the repair. So there's companies that, obviously offer insurance coverage for that. So I was a little bit curious about this, so I did actually contact the Willingboro MUA, and I asked them specifically if the utility had their own insurance. They said, no, they don't, but interestingly enough, the information I got back is that they actually recommend a insurance company called Service Line Warranties of America, which is a completely different company than this. And so I asked them to send me over that sort of application or packet. So I got a PDF of that insurance policy. The issue, I believe, for the township is that, well, number one, I don't know if Mount Holly offers the same thing for other, subscribers in the township, so you may want to double check. Number two, I think the Willingboro MUA website's kind of wonky, so they don't have a lot of information on there, so if you don't really go out of your way to contact them, you really don't even know that there's a company that they, quote, recommend. The other part of this where I think maybe our township can get involved is that the information provided by the insurance company that Willingboro has recommended is very Willingboro specific. So I don't know if that's just an oversight and they kind of mean to include West Hampton. The reason why I say that is because I'm sort of suspicious that perhaps they negotiated some sort of rate for the Willingboro residents, and maybe we were included in that, or maybe not. So if we're not, maybe we should be. So number one, maybe we can double check on that. Number two, maybe there's other insurance carriers that we can engage. If you want to recommend them, maybe that helps. Or maybe you find a different insurance carrier that the township has done business that's very reputable, that you trust, and maybe you can recommend to the residents that that's a carrier that we could maybe contract with that provide this insurance. What I'm getting at is ultimately seeing what's the economy of scale that we can get when we do that, right? We're looking at, sort of coverage. Now, it's not super expensive. I don't want to quote prices here, but I guess residents should, number one, check with their homeowner's insurance. I did. My homeowner's insurance does not provide it. So if there's any kind of problem with that water service line, it's coming out of my pocket. So it may not be a bad idea to possibly look into something like this. So I did print out the information a little bit. I can share that. Maybe Wendy, you can make a copy or something. So hopefully you're tracking what I'm saying on that, right? Okay. The second thing is, if I still have time, is I do want to talk about an existing ordinance. And I did share a little bit with Wendy here, but it's an existing ordinance. It's existing ordinance 232-14, subsection E. I don't know if you want to pull it up, but it has to do with IKEA Drive. And it has to do specifically, subsection E is the signage that's tied to IKEA Drive. Now, interestingly enough, if you read the ordinance, it says that the signage has to comport with the current manual on, it's the MUCHT, I guess I wrote it down, Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Well, I didn't know this, but apparently there's a brand new one that was published in December. It's edition number 11. So that ordinance says that the signage has to comport with the, quote, current manual. So if this is the current manual, my question is, and I don't know how this would work, what do? Do we run around looking at every sign and saying, oh my God, the manual from 2009 was in effect, and now the new manual is in effect, and therefore it's changed the sort of the requirements for the signage, and do we have to change every single signage? Number two is that there's signposting at that intersection with Springside and IKEA. The problem is that that signage does not comport with any other, quote, signage that's termed a guide sign. I read this manual, not all of it. Chapter or part 2 of the manual is 26 pages long about signs. I mean, it's Shakespeare. Or it'll cure your insomnia, either one, right? In our township, our signage that are guide signs are white on green. The white is specific because it's reflective. That sign is green on white, and it's non-reflective. So it's more of an aesthetic design, I believe, for the sign that meets the requirements for, I guess, when they submitted their application to the Land Development Board, et cetera. So I guess my question is, can we get an expert? And I'm not sure who would enforce this. Now, there is an enforcement mechanism in this ordinance, so I'm guessing it's the township that enforces it. I don't know if it's Public Works, I don't know if it's code, I don't know if it's the construction official. So maybe we can find out which one of those has that responsibility to take a look at that sign and see if it does meet the requirements. Now, that presupposes that that manual supersedes the already approved signage that they got from whenever they sought the approval in the first instance. Does that make sense, Bob? So if that's the case, then they're going to have to replace that sign, in my opinion, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. All I know is that it's non-reflective. I drove by it deliberately tonight at the time it was super dark, and I didn't believe it was reflective. And not only that, the font is different, it's smaller, you can hardly see it. And I think it's a safety issue because I was sharing with Wendy that when I get behind some of these tractor trailers, it's very confusing because there's another sign that says IKEA Drive next turn. But just a few yards from the next turn is actually the entrance to Springside, which is the Prime Point Road. So I think these truckers are slowing down because they're not exactly sure where IKEA Drive is, which is weird, but you can't see the sign for IKEA Drive. So I don't know if it's just, me, every time I'm out there, I happen to be behind one of these trucks and this is happening. So I think there is a safety issue there as well. So that was number 2. Do you have any more time? Or am I out? I'm timed out?
You're good, yeah.
Okay. So just real quick, so I noticed at Springside and Wood Lane, across from the Wawa, there's that abandoned, I guess it was a Getty station. And I noticed there was heavy machinery that was excavating specifically on that site where the gas pumps were. I don't know what they were doing, but when they're excavating that kind of property that possibly has underground storage tanks, do they have to get a permit? Do we know that? Do they have to file a permit with the township to say that they're digging? And I guess, I'm just wondering.
I think they do.
Okay.
Rob?
Yeah, it depends on how much soil they're disturbing. I don't know what the square footage is exactly, but there's a certain amount of square footage that's just, if once disturbed, or a certain percentage of the lot, that's what triggers that they would either have to apply for permitting and any other approvals necessary for it. Also, given that if there is an underground storage tank there, or it's a former fuel site, there may be DEP permitting requirements as well.
Because directly across the street is another sort of service station, which there's no active service station. There are vehicles. It looks like it's some sort of repair shop. But it's specifically posted that there is a current, quote, active, ongoing New Jersey DEP investigation. Do we have an update on that? Like where they are at with that investigation? It'd be nice to know if there's any concerns, just for the residents in the neighborhood there. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you.
So, Mayor, if I can just address the last point. If I remember right, generally on those signs that say that there's an active investigation, it usually has a number on it, and the ability to contact either EPA or DEP, whoever's overseeing it. Okay.
You're right. There was a telephone number on there.
You look like me.
Walking a little slow. So, Robert Thorpe, 222 Olive Street, Rancocas, New Jersey. I had no idea you were going to table that shared service agreement, but I want to say thanks. Shared service agreements are obviously a good thing in most instances, but I'm sitting running figures through my head, and if you're just trading equipment, seems like a trade for a trade. But for us to provide, which I think was a man 3 times for 5 days, that's almost a month of labor coming out of our budget. please look at it seriously. That seemed quite excessive. And I don't know. I don't know the facts. I'm leaving it to you on this one. Equipment seems to be a trade. 15 days of manpower, and the fact that people always forget it's not just salary, it's benefits, which is an enormous amount of money we pay, which I believe in, but we should be careful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Just leave it there. We'll take care of it.
It's just a little stiff.
Notice I said we, because I don't know that I can get down there, so I was... Well, no one else, all in favor to close?
Aye.
Dates to remember. Next township meeting is February the 20th at 7 p.m. Historic Commission is February 28th at 7 p.m. Land Development Board meeting at February 7th, February 7th at 7 p.m. Recreation Committee meeting is February the 14th at 7 p.m. And then the free rabies clinic, remember, is on February 17th from 9 to 11. Administrative report?
I just wanted to report that I have been working on the municipal budget for 2024, and we are tracking to have the first workshop be the first meeting in March. So we will have 2 workshops in March, and then we plan to introduce the budget in the first meeting in April.
Sounds good. Any committee liaison reports or comments?
Yes, there's a good point about underground things. I saw my own homeowner's insurance covers anything underground, any kind of wires, gas, electric, sewer, water, for $25 a year. So it depends on the insurance company, but I did hear for the WMUA that they would offer something, and I think it's a good thing. You never know when a bush is going to grow into a sewer line or something like that, and I had to do my sewer line once when a bush grew into it, and it was $3,000, and that was 20 years ago. So I can imagine it's $5,000 or $6,000 for just my little private little property. So that's a very good thing. Thank you for sharing that. The Historical Preservation Committee met last week. The chair was elected as Bob Thorpe. Congratulations, Bob. Vice chair was Brian Jansen, and the secretary, Nancy Berkeley. We talked about getting the word out to Grand Pocos residents about the historical committee and the requirements, and we talked about how to work with the construction official for those who don't comply, what we can do about that. One of the things we're talking about is we realize we can't go through and change all the ordinances like we wanted to do a few years ago, but we'll talk about the next meeting if there's anything we think is really needed to be changed. Bob, I'm going to invite you. Is there anything else you would like to put in? I know it's not public comment, but you're the chair. Okay, thank you. RV. I'm very happy to announce the RV Red Oak Yearbook staff won first place in American Scholastic Press Association Yearbook Contest. That's for the whole country. They also won first place Gold Award in the Garden State Scholastic Press Association Yearbook Contest. So their yearbook club needs a lot of accommodations. Thank you very much. No comments?
Thanks for everyone who came out. Thank you for your comments and suggestions. The Pledge of Allegiance, I have to give the credit to our American Legion. They reached out to me, wanted to make sure that we mention that. Not the Pledge of Allegiance, I apologize, our moment of silence from the American Legion. To make sure that we mention that. They apologize they weren't able to be here, but wanted to make sure that West Hampton recognized, the fallen soldiers. So thank you for your comment to make sure. I wanted to make sure that I put that back out there. That being said, we're going to go to executive session. Resolution number 2024, resolution authorizing the Township Committee and supportive staff to meet in private session and authorizing the exclusion of the public from that portion of the meeting, dealing with specific issues requiring non-public discussion, attorney-client privilege, and pending litigation, and what else was it? Did I say anything?
Personnel.
And personnel. Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second, Berkeley. Discussion? Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Mungo? Yes. Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
You gotta sign this.